I was just thinking about my fears, how I'm always a person that has had to worry about everything. I'm Sara Ball. My husband Matt and I have been coming to MCC for about 2.5 years since he was hired as the worship arts producer.
My wife Sara and I met when I was 14 and she was 15, but we've been together ever since and got married 6 years ago.
A couple years ago we had decided that we were thinking about having kids and starting a family. And there were some medical things happening that led us to go to the doctor for an appointment just to kind of see what was going on with me. The doctor notified us that there was some complications that I was facing that would keep us from having children. Beginning of December, I went in for my surgery, and the doctor was hopeful that I would be able to have children after the procedure. A couple weeks after that, we found out that we were pregnant.
We were looking forward to starting a big family. We both come from families of 4, and so we're automatically thinking, okay, 4 or 5 kids.
A couple weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I started having some signs of a miscarriage. So we came home for 2 days and believed that that's what had happened, just praying that maybe it wasn't true. The doctor called 2 days later and asked for me to come back in.
So we go in and the doctor says, well, you're still pregnant.
They did an ultrasound and confirmed that there was still a baby there, which we were really excited about, but there had been another baby, so there would have been twins. So it was kind of a time of mixed emotions. We were really excited because we thought we didn't have a baby at all. Right before I found out I was pregnant, my dad had given me and my mom and my sister a trip to Italy for Christmas, which was going to cause me to face another one of my fears, which was going on airplanes. Going on an airplane when I was 4 months pregnant was going to be even harder, and I just felt like the Lord was saying, okay, Sara, I'm telling you now, you need to go. About halfway through the trip, I started having contractions and went to an Italian doctor who barely spoke English. They showed the baby on the screen and he was actually jumping up and down and sucking his thumb, which was really cool. So we knew that everything was fine. My rest of my trip in Italy was spent in bed. A couple more months left and things went pretty well. Except for at night I was having a lot of trouble sleeping. I was worried about the baby, worried about everything that I think all pregnant women worry about. And I started to think that maybe my water had broken, and so it's time to get things moving. She needed to put me on antibiotics for my group B strep that I have. But it can affect a baby in the birth canal and cause infections in babies when they're born if it's not treated with antibiotics. And about 6 hours into it, I spiked a fever of 102 degrees. At that point in time, the doctor let me know that the baby might come out limp and lifeless because she said that 102-degree fever signified that there probably was an infection somewhere in the womb and that it could have reached the baby. I knew that my mom had been in the waiting room just praying. She said she was just praying against that happening. A couple hours later at 2:45 is when Owen was born, and he was 7 pounds 13 ounces, and he was very healthy and screaming loud for about 20 minutes.
You know, we were finally able to relax.
Then we loaded him up to come home, and we came home and had a nice evening together.
And Owen slept the entire night, which really concerned us.
And the next morning,
Sara reached over and just grabbed me and says, Matt, there's something wrong.
I woke up at 6 o'clock with an excruciating pain in my head that just scared me to death.
So we drive over to the emergency room the whole time, this isn't right, this isn't right.
I didn't know what it was. I was worried it was a brain aneurysm or something. So I went in and they put me on magnesium for my headache. I kind of thought, okay, I guess we're ready to go home now. All my blood tests were kind of off. You have high blood pressure, you have a racing heart. And this is really hard for me because, of course, all of my worst fears are coming to mind. You know, am I going to be okay? What's going to happen?
And ended up being there for 5 more days as they ran test after test, trying to figure out what was going on. My
doctor who had come in to let me know about this was sitting on my bed and crying. I could possibly have a heart problem, and this condition can, in many cases, be a fatal condition. If your doctor's crying, it's not a good sign. My heart was getting so bad at that point that I could barely get up and go into the bathroom, which was like 3 feet away from my bed. I just remember laying in my bed and holding Owen and just looking at him and thinking, he might not really know me.
I don't want to think about that. We have our baby. This is happy. We have to be happy.
So the next day, we finally got to have the heart tests done. The x-ray came back normal, that my heart hadn't gotten any bigger. my heart was fine. And it was probably the most relief I think I've ever felt in my life. The doctors really couldn't tell me what was wrong with me or what had happened. I just knew that the Lord had just rained down a miracle and His mercy upon my life. Trying to trust in the Lord and knowing that He had given me this miracle, but really being able to grab onto it and believe in the truth of it took me a long time. When I hold my little boy, I just see the miracle that God has done. And it's so frustrating to me that I still struggle with fear. God has taught me that every morning when I wake up, the first thing that I need to do, give Him these fears and just lay them down at His feet and say, Lord, I don't know how to handle these, but I know You can. And I'm gonna be able to live a more full life in Him because of that.